Hello, I am Zinfogel. I know I am a month late. I know there is a new data mine. It's the second time this happens. Please don't torment me about it. Today we are catching up with the half anniversary single pairs May, Raihan, and Skyla. I am sorry I couldn't record this before the banners left, but some people requested I share my opinions on these units. Mostly for reassurance now that we know what's dropping on April. Skyla and Raihan were contentious upon data mine, but I don't think I have a whole lot to add here. There is enough showcases proving their viability already. Well then, let's get started. First up, we have May and Latias, a Psychic type Pokéfair tech. I feel May is the weakest pair of this batch. Not because she is bad, but I feel some aspects of her kit are conflicting. May also has to contend with Bianca as a psychic terrain setter, and she makes for some fierce competition. I am going to draw comparisons with Bianca because I didn't pull May on that basis. May's best perk over Bianca is X Special Attack All. She compresses support and helps out her teammates. I really like how DNA tackled this angle. Psychic Terrain abusers often have issues buffing special attack because of the pace they play at. Liar fast ramps, so he can only buff +3 special attack by the time his nuke is ready. Bianca has to use Psychic Terrain early for a better buffing efficiency, and even then, she buffs +4 special attack at most. Giovanni doesn't buff a special attack at all, and 6-star EX Sabrina wants buffs to chunk with Psychic. Cygnus Ulusamin is an outlier here, but May has excellent cohesion with her intended partners. If May didn't have X special attack call, I wouldn't even be looking at her kit. It gives her a ton of offensive presence because she speeds up the rotation of her team. Stat-wise, Latias is less tanky than Musharna by a fair margin, but she has better offensive stats. Latias is very fast, and Mega Latias has an even higher special attack stat. Now, May has to work with Miss Ball. It's a tribal move, we haven't seen one of these in a while. Miss Ball has much lower base power than 4-bar moves, which is an issue. But it has a 50% chance of dropping a special attack by one stage. Latias has Honor Roll 1 to guarantee the drop, and when you Mega Ball Latias, Honor Roll 1 gets upgraded to Unexpected Benefit ×2. It's like a combination of Honor Roll 1 with Double Drop. Given the description, you cannot give May Mind Games 2 as a lucky skill with the expectation of -2 special defense drops. Miss Ball debuffs are Latias' primary tech utility, so most of this kit revolves around that. May has Innate Devastation, a Devastation tile on her grid, and Overpower. She also has a new multiplier called Added Insult. It's the combination of Overpower and Brain Teaser. The more you debuff the target is a special attack and a special defense, the more Miss Ball base power you get. My issue here is that Latias' debuffs are slow ramping. Miss Ball is single target, and Unexpected Benefit ×2 is a post-mega perk. May is incapable of debuffing a special defense, which is even weirder because she has Smarty Pants and Brain Teaser on her grid. She has this whole corner dedicated to special defense debuffs without any tools to access it. So May has to leech off her teammates for that. However, she can kickstart her multipliers. At 3-5, she has Dismay 2. Love the pun. But this passive drops the enemy team is a special attack by -2 upon entry. However, given the description, it doesn't proc when Latias Mega Evolves, unlike Terrify. Mei already has a busy cycle between X Special Attack Call and Psychic Terrain. You would do well to bring an auxiliary tech who debuffs a special attack, someone like Viola or Champion Iris. Mei's multipliers are conditional and take some effort. I am not a fan of that. Something else that bores me about special attack debuffs is that you purely use them for the multipliers rather than for the damage reduction. The vast majority of Psychic Weak stages in Champion Stadium specialize in physical damage, so Miss Ball and Dismay won't help as filters. This reminds me of Diantha Devastation builds. She also suffers from that issue in very weak stages. Note Mei works with a Psychic Wish rather than a straight Psychic Terrain. This was done to circumvent the fact that Latias doesn't learn Psychic Terrain in the main series games. Psychic Wish is better because it's a trainer move. If Latias gets flinched or frozen, you can still cast a Psychic Terrain where Bianca gets hosed and has to wait for the stagger to wear off. The rest of Mei's kit focuses on self-sufficiency and dual strike cohesion. Mei has an excellent trainer move. This is a big advantage she has over Bianca. It grants +2 defenses, +3 crit, and accelerates the move gauge. Mei maximizes crit for offensive autonomy, where Bianca team compositions are stuck with Sabrina or Kiawe. The gauge acceleration is a little pointless because Mei has a Psychic Freebie 9. When Mei attacks under Psychic Terrain, she gains free move next. In theory, Mei has infinite gauges, which is a point DNA used to sell the unit. Something funny I noticed in Mei showcases is that Psychic Freebie doesn't activate when you click a Psychic Wish. Mei faces an awkward rotation in Dual Strike. She has to click Miss Ball first to start her freebie chain. But when she gets rolling, another striker can freely consume the spare gauges. All this gauge support is fine and dandy, but Bianca has Pep Rally and Team Hit and Heal, and don't forget Precognition too. Honestly, Bianca is much better at supporting gauge-heavy strikers than Mei. Bianca can supply gauge for the Signasulusamin plus Anniversary Lily team composition, which is crazy. Bianca is an amazing gauge support, so it's not like Mei is offering a distinct advantage here. Also, something ironic is that Mei wants a special attack support despite offering it. Mei's grid has Morale Boost 4 for a 50% chance to buff a special attack when using trainer moves, which alleviates that. But if Mei is purely focusing on DPS, she wants someone to help her out. As for the grid, 1-5 has MGRs plus Dauntless and Stalwart, which are good passives in Legendary Gauntlet. 2-5 has Morale Boost 4 and Moral Support 4 to attempt a special attack and a special defense buffs when using trainer moves. Catalyst would be cool, but 6-star EX Giovanni is better at nuking than 2-5 Mei, so I don't see the point of nuking with Latias until the 3-5. Here we have all the multipliers, which is par for the course. Smarty Pants and Devastation offer an off-type delete button, but every tech in recent memory has a delete button. Big nukes don't impress me anymore. It's a standard these days. Psychic Wish Propulsion 9 is neat. It's backed by an NPR 3, so Mei can ostensibly play for fast ramping. You can pair her with Signasulusamin, whose train move lowers the sync countdown by -2, and that would shave off a round of combat. Super Sinker and Weird Immunity have their applications. Ultimately, you have to think about how you are going to use May. May's full nuke is very demanding. She needs a partner dedicated to debuffing special defense. Palentine's Dawn works best because she can cap out May's special attack. Dawn can maximize May's nuke when partnered with Viola, for example. May just doesn't contribute much to her nuke. This May too helps, but May needs to sync to access unexpected benefit times 2, so she has a wind-up. And if you have those kind of resources, why are you not syncing with Giovanni instead? Even if it's more from the +6 special attack Dawn and May can offer, and he sweeps stages more cleanly with his 6-star EX AoE nuke. Although May's focus nuke is better in Legendary Gauntlet. If you want May to sweep a stage by herself, by all means feel free, you can grab all her multipliers, but again, Giovanni exists. However, from that perspective, I think May is a better fit as a support. She can help her teammates while attacking DPS with Miss Ball. And by the way, you don't have to run May alongside Psychic Terrain abusers. This May too gives her decent synergy with Overpower and Devastation users like Diantha or Alder, but wasting Psychic Terrain is a bit of a shame. If you want May to preserve utility with a semblance of a nuke, I would ignore her special defense debuff multipliers. It's not like May can actively trigger them. Sorry if I sound unenthusiastic here, but I don't really care about May. She's really good as a Giovanni partner, but Bianca, dude! Bianca is a much better tank, she offers recovery and gauge, and I don't think May's nuke is a selling point with Liar, Giovanni, and Signasulusamin around. And she's a weaker anchor than Bianca for Signasulusamin team compositions anyway. May feels redundant. If she were like Palentine's Marnie who enters the field with defense debuffs, oh man, May with Befuddle would be an easy top tier. But she doesn't have that, only her special attack party-wide buffs. Much of May's kit is at conflict with itself. Up next we have Skyla and Tornadus, a flying type Pokéfair tech. This is the long-awaited Flying Zone unit. So Anniversary Steven Stonks are going to the moon! Right? Skyla upset some panties because she is stuck with Air Coder. Skyla has a gargantuan special attack stat, but even under Flying Zone, Tornadus' DPS is just sad. What DNA chose to do instead is cover Skyla as a utility tech. She has a Staggering 2 and a Gobsmack 2 for a 30% chance to create AoE, flinch, and confusion. Skyla is more about disrupting the enemy. She plays for staggers so her teammates can attack more often. Skyla's skill is straightforward otherwise. She can tank if you want. Her speed stat is excellent. She has Mini Potion All to compress recovery support. Her terrain move is X-Speed All with some offensive self-sufficiency. And Tornadus has Innate Aerial Acceleration 3, which hastens the move gauge under Flying Zone. Skyla is a gauge battery. She not only buffs the party's speed by +4 at a minimum, Skyla maintains gauge with her speed stat, and aerial acceleration allows you to spam New Year's Lance's Hyper Beam no problem. Offensively, remember Air Coder is a plus crit move. At +2 crit, it always lands critical hits, but it can miss. Skyla has an Air Coder accuracy +5 tile, but her full grids typically cannot afford to grab that. Furthermore, Skyla wants special attack support because she only buffs +1 special attack per terrain move use. Torchic, Sinasudelesa, and Fogner are decent partners for her. Alright, let's talk about Flying Zone's influence on the Flying type metagame. As you'll know, I am an Anniversary Steven enthusiast, and I am very well acquainted with his output. Anniversary Steven under Flying Zone is about 10% more efficient than running Tech Farfetch'd for Leer debuffs. Yes, there is an improvement, but I don't feel you have to pull Skyla to improve Steven. If Skyla runs Defense Crush 2 for AoE defense debuffs, it's a different story. But it's not like Flying Zone Steven blew me out the water. The bigger Flying Zone beneficiaries are Blue and Lysander. Skyla enables a Harry for them, and she helps out with tons of gauge. New Year's Lance would also much rather partner with Anniversary Skyla than with Winona now. Nate has excellent regional synergy with Skyla, and she helps him cap out inertia. 6-star EX Nate Snook is a lot more respectable under Flying Zone, but Skyla and Nate have a sinking contention. It's more so Nate has an AoE nuke, and he can isolate center so Skyla can flinch lock it. You can also improve Daraki's nuke with Skyla, but 3-5 Skyla nukes much harder than him, so that depends on the state of your roster. Hurricane Leon goes great with Skyla because she handles the on-type nuke. It's a shame you cannot partner Tornadus with Togekiss because they share the same trainer. They would be perfect for each other, but oh well. Skyla can also enable some cute stuff, like Harry 3 Plumeria, Fall Fighting 3 Summer Marnie. Signasus Cyrus plus Karen works really well with Skyla because she compresses speed support, tanking, and AoE confusion to enable Fall Fighting for Karen, despite the zone conflict. 3-5 Skyla also has Disarm 9 for guaranteed attack and special attack debuffs. She can set up Champion Iris or Anniversary N. But Skyla's true value lies in Flying Zone. You would be wasting her potential without a Flying type striker, especially when her DPS is so shitty. Oh, and before I forget, Kahire's Grid is now a thing. With Haymaker and Super Preparation 4, she nukes harder than a 1-5 and 2-5 Skyla, so keep that in mind. 1-5 Skyla has nothing. The Aircoder tiles won't be fixing Aircoder's DPS, so don't get excited about that. 2-5 Skyla improves a lot as a support. She gains Team Sharp Entry 1. Not only can Skyla maximize crit by using her trainer move just twice, she aids the setup of her teammates. Blue and Lysander love sparing a turn to get a 2+3 crit. Skyla also has a Natural Remedy and Impervious for tanking. Impervious is really good in Legendary Gauntlet, but Barrel Roll 2 helps more. This passive filters move damage by 20% under Flying Zone. Remember, Skyla has Mini Potion All, so if you partner her with Cheryl or some such, Skyla eats damage like a champ. Skyla also gains an NPR 3 for her trainer move, just in case you want her to maximize the party's speed. There is also an extra Gobsmack 2 tile for an additional chance to roll Confusion. Confusion isn't very good crowd control without stop hitting yourself, but if your strategy rests on activating Confusion multipliers, then this helps a lot. 3-5 has the delete button. Remember, Skyla has a massive special attack stat to back up her nuke. Skyla gains Inertia and Interference Sync 5 as multipliers. Interference Sync procs when a target is confused, trapped, or flinching. Skyla kind of depends on proccing Gobsmack to land Interference Sync. The good news is that Skyla can top off her nuke, but she still wants some help completing her setup. Soften Up 1 is really good because it lets Skyla short crit her Nook at +2 crit. This means Skyla wants +4 special attack, +2 speed, and an interference to complete her Nook. You can do that easily with a free-to-play core of Roxanna plus Viola. How is that team doing damage afterwards? I don't know. You have to figure that out. Over here, we can find Air Coder Disarm 9 to improve Skyla's utility with offensive crowd control. I love this style. 3-5 Skyla also enhances her mini potion efficiency, and there is an extra Air Coder staggering 1 tile for another chance to roll flinch. Same chances as Holiday Leon is Cold Snap 2 plus Cold Snap 1. All these tiles are amazing for Legendary Gauntlet. If you want Skyla to delete center mons, I would favor Soften Up 1 for the consistency, but remember to supply a special attack and a reliable interference. You can drop a Soften Up 1 to instead grab Disarm 9 and Air Coder Staggering 1 to improve Skyla's utility. Otherwise, I would suggest running Skyla as a pure enabler with a Team Sharp Entry 1 and some tanking tiles to aid a striker setup. Skyla is quite good. If only she had an Air Coder multiplier, her kit would be a lot more convincing, but she is a utility sync pair and plays well for that. Skyla has excellent gauge, she can stagger the enemy field, she can set up multipliers, she can recover the party's health, and don't forget her Nook. Last but not least, we have Raihan and Flygon, a Dragon type Pokémon tech. I was pulling this guy no matter what because I like him, but the first time I saw Raihan's kit, I knew he had endless potential. He's the only unit of this batch I have a 6-star EX 3-5, so I can offer insight into Raihan's capabilities thanks to experience. Much like Skyla, Raihan got shot on for being stuck with Twister and Fire Spin. These moves are not exactly known for their offense. To Raihan's defense, he can bomb with max moves instead. Given the nature of Raihan's kit, his inability to deal raw damage is irrelevant. Raihan is a support in disguise. His trainer move adds super effective up next to the party when there is a weather condition in play. And if Classic Red taught us anything, is that super effective up next can fix any striker. With good timing, Raihan can boost really big attacks like 6-star EX nukes. Furthermore, Raihan has Sandstorm to enable sand multipliers, and Fire Spin allows him to use Max Flare, which summons Sun. Very much in character, Raihan plays for weather control. Lastly, Raihan has Theme Strengthening Status 9. When Raihan casts Sandstorm, he buffs the party with physical and special move up next stacks. This is all you need to know about Raihan. Everything else is cherry on top. Slotting Raihan is like slotting asteroids, kind of like how you would slot Blaine or Acerola purely for weather. But Raihan is miles better at fattening damage because of his passives. Super effective up next is such a crucial component to Raihan's kit, I don't think he would be nearly as good without that. It's the same as supplying terrain. Raihan can enhance literally any nuke not named normal type. And because Raihan supplies move up next stacks, he ensures any striker has the firepower to delete center after nuking. Raihan buffs both offensive spectrums, so he has fun applications with mixed strikers like Synaxus Serena, Synaxus Red, Classic Blue. They can bomb with a physical move first and then with a special one. Super effective up next allows you to play fast. This is why I don't advertise Raihan's full grid utility as an important aspect of his kit. Playing Raihan off-type is silly. No one is stopping you, but super effective up next is a huge part of his value. Now, from this point forward, I am going to describe Raihan's utility. This goes in addition to his capacity to enhance damage. Raihan's stat spread is okay, his special attack is average but good enough to complement his sync and his max bombs. His bulk is average, his speed is great though. So, Raihan has this passive called Weather Buff. When a weather condition is in play, all his primary stats are buffed by 30%. Offensively, it doesn't make too big of a difference, but Weather Buff really helps Raihan's defenses. Likewise, Raihan has Atmospheric Acceleration too. When any weather is in play, the move gauge improves. This helps, but don't expect Raihan to be a gauge battery without speed support. Given the pace of Raihan's battles, I never found these passives to be very useful anyway. Twister is AoE, the damage is bad, but it has a 20% chance to flinch. And at 2-5, Raihan has Twister Aggravation 2 for a 60% chance to flinch. Remember, secondary effects' chances get halved when they are AoE. I think Raihan's time is better spent spamming Sandstorm for move next stacks, but Aggravation 2 Twister allows Raihan to flinch lock legendary arenas very comfortably with a spammy attack. Fire Spin is even weaker than Twister and it's inaccurate, but it traps enemies. Raihan can shoot down acute senses and he can enable fault fighting and interference sync. Do note both of these moves can be enhanced with field effects, with Dragon Zone and Sun respectively. Raihan can take advantage of his own special move next stacks on their field effects to push actually decent damage if you need him to. Sandstorm is Sandstorm. Raihan has good cohesion with Sand abusers like Cynthia and Emmet. Lastly, Raihan is Terrain move. I went straight to the super effective up next effect, but Raihan is mostly offensively self-sufficient. His Terrain move buffs +4 special attack and +2 crit. Raihan has Sharp Entry 1 on his 2-5 grid to complete crit, so he just needs a little bit of help topping off his special attack, like Custom Dianta or Renegade Cynthia. Lastly, Raihan's innate tech multiplier is Weather Sync Up. When any weather is in play, you get the nuke. And this includes rain and hail. Raihan technically nukes in any weather, and he has a delete button at 3-5, which you can boost with Dragon Zone. But I feel Raihan plays better as a damage facilitator. It's not like I gave him 3-5 for the Sync nuke. It doesn't elevate his performance that much. Before I forget, Raihan has 3 max moves. Max Whirlwind drops the enemy team is attacked by -2. Max Flare summons Sun, and Max Guard applies Damage Guard next to an ally of your choosing. I have never used Max Whirlwind for the debuff tag. There are more efficient ways of setting up a pecking order. What I prefer doing is saving Max Whirlwind post-sync for a finishing blow. It's quite strong, even off-type. Max Flare is equally as strong. The problem is that it only gives you 1 sync cycle is worth of Sun. That's more than enough for 6-star EX Single Rail or your Fire-type striker of choice, but if you supply Sun support for Raihan, Max Flare can delete center mons or severely cripple them. I have never used Max Guard in my life. It has fringe case uses like protecting party members from sure crit moves in Legendary Gauntlet, but I would rather bomb with Max Whirlwind to close a fight. Something I want to address is Raihan's lucky skill. Critical Strike 2 is a good default to improve his max bombs. Weather Warrior 3 is also an improvement, but you can also play him with Mind Games 2 or Defense Crush 2 for Twister AoE debuffs. Raihan also plays really well with the Head Start 1 as a lucky skill, because he can fast ramp with Sandstorm Propulsion 9. The 1-5, Raihan has Sand Shelter. That's funny. Flygon is not innately immune to Sandstorm chip, so you have to tile that. 2-5 opens a lot of tools. Over this corner, we have Sandstorm Moo Point Refresh Tree. This is good to counter Moltres, but NPR 3 rolls allow Raihan to spam Sandstorm for move up next stacks. There is also Sandstorm Slippery Psychics 1 to buff the party's evasion just because you get to dodge attacks for free. On the Twister corner, Raihan gains Twister Aggravation 2 for consistent flinch locking in Legendary Gauntlet. Team Pinpoint Entry 1 buffs the party's accuracy by 1. Twister is 100% accurate, so this mostly helps Fire Spin its accuracy, but you can also patch up the consistency of shaky strikers like 1-5 Alder. I love how Raihan has random buffing tiles, it's amazing. On the Fire Spin corner, Raihan gains Fire Spin accuracy plus 15 to make it accurate. Poke Trap 3 enhances trap recoil, and Mind Boggler 9 allows Raihan to debuff a special defense when the target is afflicted by an interference. Note Mind Boggler procs the first time you click Fire Spin to apply trap. Something you can do is apply trap on the entire enemy field and spam Twister for AoE special defense debuffs. This sounds really cool in theory, but in practice the setup is slow. I would rather spam Sandstorm for move up next stacks. And by the time Mind Boggler debuffs become relevant, a striker should have ended the stage thanks to Raihan is super effective up next support. I want to say I love Mind Boggler because I am a slot for debuffs, but it's too slow ramping. It's needed to set up Smarty Pants for Borg or Giovanni though. At the last corner, Raihan gains Train Move Point Refresh Tree. You could reset for that to maximize Raihan's offensive stats, and Raihan could proc super effective up next multiple times thanks to the NPR. But I much prefer Sharp Entry 1 for consistent crit. 3-5 has the, you guessed it, delete button. Raihan can nuke with Weather Sync Up and Interference Sync. Weather Sync Up is the same as Raihan is innate sync multiplier, so it's free. And Raihan can activate Interference Sync with Fire Spin. Fire Spin's accuracy is annoying, but you could get creative and use BP Morty's Confuse Ray instead, for example. 3-5 Raihan under Dragon Zone nukes harder than Lucas, but Raihan specifically needs Dragon Zone. Lucas out-nukes otherwise. I have used Raihan for 2k off-type precinct clears, and it's perfectly valid, but I don't see the point when Raihan offers a super effective up next. Like, let's say I bring Raihan to off-type a Poison Weak stage. Okay, cool, I could use Plumeria with a super effective up next to kill center Fierce Sync with Bursting, or the whole stage if she's at 6-star EX potential. And even on Dragon Week content, instead of nuking with Raihan, you can give 6-star EX Cyrus super effective up next to wipe sides, and then close the fight with Max Whirlwind. And you can do that with just 1-5 Raihan. Nuke Raihan is very effective on off-type legendary gauntlets. I am not saying it's bad, it just feels pointless. In a similar vein, I am not a fan of Solar Sync. The idea is that Raihan can nuke first with Sandstorm up and then activate Solar Sync to boost fire-type strikers. Like, why would I waste Fierce Sync with Raihan when I could use Max Flare pre-sync and spend my sync move with 6-star EX Signature Red instead? If your excuse is extra Sun uses, you can bring a Sunny Day Setter for a stronger Max Flare instead. Again, it's not bad, but I don't see the point. What's really exciting to me is Sandstorm Propulsion 9. When Raihan uses Sandstorm, he hastens the sync countdown. Raihan is already incentivized to spam Sandstorm for move up next stacks. If you give Raihan Head Start 1 as a lucky skill, he can shave off a round of combat. Alternatively, you can pair him with other fast ramp sources like Simasu Arena, Emed, Simasu Lessa, Classic Red, Cynthia, Simasu Misty. The possibilities are quite large. At 3-5, Raihan also gains Sand Alert, which doubles Sandstorm duration. This is amazing for Sand Strikers in Legendary Gauntlet, but in standard matches, the fight ends too quickly for the extension to matter. Lastly, Raihan gets Dynamax boosters. I use Max Whirlwind plus 100 often since it's on the same path as Twister Aggravation 2. There is also Max Team Smarts, which gives the party a special move next stack when Raihan uses a Max move. I never found practical scenarios for this because of the pace of Raihan's matches, but it can be handy. Raihan has a cornucopia of options. His party asteroids is his bread and butter, and that alone allows him to feed on any team archetype. But then you realize he can flinch lock, debuff special defense, bomb with max moves, fast ramp, buff accuracy, buff evasion. Raihan is pretty fucking insane. This is a complex grid, so I adjust Raihan depending on the situation. The grid I typically run focuses on spamming Sandstorm for move next stacking. You want Propulsion 9 for fast ramp and Twister Aggravation 2 for crowd control after Raihan is done with his shenanigans. In the meanwhile, Raihan buffs evasion to help a tank. Max Whirlwind offers a valuable chunking tool when given support from Ingo or whomever. Alternatively, you can drop some of these tiles to run Sharp Entry 1 if you don't want to bring a crit support for Raihan. The second mode I prefer running is Sun-based. We are assuming that Raihan is compressing Sun support for a Fire Weak stage. You can still use Sandstorm pre-sync to stack a move next, and once your striker is done setting up, you launch Max Flare to chunk center and get rolling. Lastly, there is the nuking mode. I already told you my qualms with nuking Raihan. I think there are more efficient ways of employing him, but Raihan is fully capable of deleting center Fierce Sync off-type under Dragon Zone. If you grab Sharp Entry 1, Raihan only needs +2 special attack and an interference to complete his nuke. I found that there is an Egmon that complements this nuke perfectly, and that's Support Behemoth. Support Behemoth buffs +2 special attack and applies a trap with Infestation. Infestation is 100% accurate, which is more consistent than Fire Spin. And that frees up a turn so Raihan can cast a Sandstorm again or whatever. These are the grids I have used the most, but again, Raihan is highly customizable. Maybe you want a Mind Boggler with Twister Aggravation 2 as support for Legendary Gauntlet. Maybe you want Pinpoint Entry 1 to counter evasion. It depends on the context, and you can cater Raihan accordingly. I have been pleasantly impressed by Raihan. He is insanely versatile, and honestly, I don't think there is a striker who doesn't benefit from his presence. If said striker can abuse Sand or Sun, all the better. I think when Raihan was Dynamite, people laser focused on Twister and Fire Spin. But Raihan is the kind of unit who feels a lot better in practice. Well then, as of time of recording, the banners for these sync pairs live in exactly 29 minutes. I don't really have an excuse here. My apologies for being so late with this video, but you know, I barely have enough free time for recording lately. But if it's of any consolation, I will work on the April data mine this weekend at the latest, so we'll see what happens. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I hope to see you another time.